Okay, guys, hoping that this will be that everything works fine. I didn't check. Sorry, but my camera is there and my main screen is here, and I cannot turn, so I can do it this. So okay, so sorry for my. Yeah, I was definitely in bed and like checking some YouTube videos from people speaking about, let's say, about religion, basically, let's say about Christianity or some questions. And I believe in Jesus and I believe in God. I had my personal path. So the point of this video is there are some things that I keep hearing and I'm really, really tired. Sometimes I would love to be able to answer the people in the videos, but since it's something that has been uploaded, it's not a direct confrontation where everyone can express. And so I can, of course, write in the comments, which is what I do, but I'm pretty tired of this way of communicating. So I decided to make this video. What did activated this? Yeah, this basically there are two or three topics that can always comes out, which is one about the free will, one is about knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of good and evil, the fruits and etc. So the problem is that in common Christianity, the things are not explained, and most of the people usually they don't investigate things properly, which is not easy. I know it's not easy, but it's also something not. It's not even impossible. So we have to understand that most of the time, not every time, but most of the time that God is speaking, or the things that are written in the Bible, first of all, have been translated over and over from in many ways. Second, he is speaking most of the time in a metaphorical language. So when he's speaking about the tree of and fruit, about knowledge, is not speaking about an actual tree in a garden. This is the problem, for example, also in other things. It's not a real tree, it is the knowledge. Um, the fallen angels, following Lucifer, basically, they went down to earth and they started teaching, mixing with woman and teaching woman and men, men and women. They started teaching some kind of knowledge that they shouldn't be, in that period they shouldn't have, because there was a specific reason. Of course, it's not like God is bad and wants us ignorant. The real reason was because we weren't ready. Humanity at that point, at that time, just a little bit of time after they've been created, they were not ready to receive the knowledge. If you can see, still nowadays, having the knowledge without the cautiousness, um, which some people call it moral, but it's not the moral. The morality is something, it's an interpretation sometimes of the cautiousness. It's just you feel that you're doing something wrong and you do it anyway, or you don't have the feeling and you do it. So in the first case you have the cautiousness but you're not listening to it. The second case you have the knowledge but you don't have the cautiousness and you do it. In both cases you do damage. Basically, you make you are participating in something that you are not full aware of what it is. So you don't have the consciousness. It's like the example, easiest example is when you say you're giving a weapon, a loaded weapon, to a child who doesn't have any, like, it's not a game, you know. So the same thing. So this is the reason why God said, "Do not eat the fruit of knowledge." Means that knowledge is not meant for you. At least not now. At least not now. It's not meant for you. So the first the first task of human beings, meaning both women and men, is to take care of the planet, take care of each other, take care of the animals, take care of the nature, be the guardian of the garden. The guardian of the garden, that's your job. My job is another thing, and everything has a purpose. No? Since they didn't listen, they didn't follow this path and listen to someone else, all the creation got messed up. I mean, it's a responsibility, or it's a shared responsibility. You know, when you say it's the devil, sorry, it's the devil fault, or it's the human fault. It's both. I mean, everyone, both have a different kind of responsibility in the thing, because if I'm God and I'm creating the universe and I'm creating everything, and I'm telling you, I'm telling to the angels, don't do it because, and you still do it, you have a responsibility as angels, fallen angels, rebel angels, whatever you want to call them. You have a responsibility. Then, since they don't listen, I speak directly to humans and I say to humans, don't listen to them, don't do this, don't do that, because maybe I didn't explain everything at that time, because humans were just born. It's like you can't explain a baby that is just born everything about life. Of course you cannot. In the same way, human consciousness, not the body, not the consciousness, was still too young to fully understand things. So those things couldn't be explained fully. And even later, the reason why many messages weren't explained fully is divided in two reasons. One, because they were not ready. The consciousness was not ready. And the second one was because some people weren't able to explain it, because they didn't fully understand it themselves as well. So both true. They are both true. So the point is, the tree is not a real tree. Humans weren't supposed to receive the knowledge, which does not mean that the knowledge is not correct. It means that the usage of the knowledge they received, they were not ready. Their consciousness was not ready to use it properly, because it's, as you can see, still nowadays it's not easy to know that. I mean, even the knowledge of how colors and some kind of things can influence the mind of people is used for marketing, and so it's not used for helping people to free themselves, but more for attracting people to a brand or another one, which is definitely not a good use. It's like using a knowledge with a bad consciousness. It's an example, but it's a real one. Another example is having a screwdriver in your hands and using for fixing something or to kill someone. Okay, it's more unrealistic, but not so unrealistic. And the same thing is the previous one. So it's sadly it's realistic. So if you have the knowledge doesn't mean that the knowledge is not true. It means you're not ready. Your consciousness is not ready to use it properly, so you shouldn't. You don't have to. So this is the problem. And since there was this challenge from Lucifer to God, which basically he challenged his plans, he challenged his creation, he challenged his wisdom. And went down to earth. There also are other aspects, but this is one of the aspects of the things that happened actually. So he went down to earth, they went down to earth, and they mixed up with female. The DNA, which is basically you can see like in computer programming, it's a similar concept, not fully equal, it's just similar. Um, Not literal, but the concept is the same. If you have a like a perfect code, then you change it in a way that it's not improving. The code is corrupted. The DNA is basically the genetical code, language, programming of life, basically. So if you combine the DNA in a bad way, without knowledge, without consciousness and knowledge, you mess up. You mess up. So this is exactly what happened. Sorry for my English translation. I have to think in my own native language before. So the thing is, the two, the combination of two DNA were not supposed to stick together, messed up everything. They started to mess up everything. Someone said not a long time ago that even, for example, the Greek mythological beings like the Minotaur and stuff like that, they were in the end just the failed experiment of mixing DNA between one being and another, or just DNA playing with. Playing meaning not really playing, trying to do something, but the point is, from that moment, the DNA got corrupted. So the information about the programming of also of the reality, or at least this reality, this part of the reality, got corrupted. Um, and so one let's say one side is working to restore this yeah, basically to restore the code, and the other one is just I don't know, I mean, it's all part of a bigger plan, of course it is, but this is a part of true, like one side is actually working for trying to restore the code, which is actually possible, but it requires things. And let me tell you something, so I will be totally honest in this video. I don't want to, yeah, I want to be honest. Um, if you can see, if you observe life on the planet and in general life, every single animal, every single living being has like a programmation. Okay, I will not touch the evolution of things in the moment, but the point is, everything has like a timer. Butterflies, I don't remember the numbers, but every species has its own timer, lifespan, um, and it can be eaten or can eat something else. Why? Or just be killed by a sickness, a disease, or something. So why is this? Because it's the way of life keeping the balance. If you study the human body, I have an example on women when they have like, but it's for everybody. I mean, when you have like a bacteria inside that is expanding too much, it causes some trouble to the whole system. No? So the whole system works to reestablish balance and order. I'm not saying anything untrue. This is exactly how the planet and also the universe, more like, work. Meaning, um, I have to say something that most of the people will not understand and will not take it as probably they will not take it as a love message, but it is a love message. The problem is that how you solve the problem now. Meaning, you can see nowadays we have so many people in the world, and someone will say, well, that's everyone can say everything, but we have so many people in the world which they don't have like a vegetarian diet. They don't have a lifestyle. In general, their lifestyle is not in balance with nature. So maybe if their lifestyle was more very so much slower and different, maybe, and the land, all the lands were be able to be farmed, so they were cultivable. I don't know in English, sorry. Um, all the lands would be farmable, basically, with different ways of farming. That might solve the problem, but this requires a big change in the lifestyle of people. Otherwise, the not the bad solution, the drastic solution is to understand that many people has to leave this planet. Meaning, the reason why there are more and there will be even more disease and sicknesses is because the solutions we are trying, or they are trying, someone is trying to force into, like, to use instead of good solutions, because there are also good solutions that are not being listened or not being considered, but they do work. And when you see those solutions, you fully understand that there is like cautious, unconscious will to not use them, to not to not use them. So that said, the more this whole way of living, which is the major one, keeps going, the more it will cause diseases. Because, for example, OGM and everything that is being genetically modified, also plants or seeds, is because they are trying to create something not natural, of course, easier to provide food for all the people, so that they want to try to keep up their system. Okay, that's what they are trying to do without any covering. That's what they're trying to do, consciously or unconsciously, but that's the point. So, but this OGM thing, this, all the modifications, all the corruptions or the modification you make to the code of something, it will have an effect on the life, on the code of people, because first of all it's not natural. So it's like trying to put together something that is not meant to be. Again, more and more, nothing learned, at least for some people. So you are trying to put them together, they will not work properly, meaning they will cause even more problems. And who makes money with that, with the disease and other stuff? They might be thinking, and that's the devil, that's the evil thinking, actually. Might think, I can make money out of it, because, and so on. Yes, there are people. I mean, there are people who thinks that. There are, actually. Um, so the problem is, the more you modify genetically things, animals, seeds, whatever, life in general, the more you mess up, because it's like yeah, and you will cause more problem than the solution, than looking for the solution. You will cause more problems, and it will just crash down. It's like playing with the programmation of a computer. I mean, there are very few people that knows how, but even then, it's different. Okay, it's a good and bad example in both ways. The problem is, if you touch something that it's meant to work in that way, you are not just changing that something, you are affecting everything. And if you don't have the cautiousness, which you don't have the cautiousness to do, it doesn't mean you are not smart, intelligent. It's not a challenge. When I say you don't have the cautiousness, people doesn't have the cautiousness, I'm not challenging anyone. It's a state of fact, and it's not an offense. It's not a way to offend anyone. But you have to realize you don't have the consciousness to do that because you don't have the full view. If you, I totally assure you, if you have the full view of the picture, you will not do it because you automatically you will understand. If you have the full view of the picture, then you will not touch it. You will not touch it. You will not do it. You will look for the other solution. You will understand and look for the other solutions. So this is the problem. The main problem. It's all about this thing. Then let me say, it's all beautiful to see people sharing their experience, sharing their experience with God or their thoughts about God or their questions. It's beautiful and the answers can come. It's not a problem, but you need to people need to understand things, and most of the times the answers are easier. They are not so mysterious as they think. The problem is that we have people. I will not say preaching because preaching most of the time is generally good, but depends. Uh, People speaking about things and trying to give answer, also on YouTube or some or just common, the common communication way nowadays, which is so. I see these people speaking about things where they didn't fully realize it themselves. Most of the times is because they stopped making question or asking themselves and asking God, and so basically they stopped the research. So they pretended to have the answer while they didn't fully reach the big picture, and they say it's impossible to comprehend and explain God. It's not. This is not true. This is a lie. This is a total lie. Comprehending God is easier than most of the people thinks. It's easier. There is a reason why God says you have been created in my image and so on, which means uh, I'm not so far away from you. I'm not so far away, not meaning like a physical distance, I'm meaning a resemblance distance. I'm not so different from you. You are my children, so you are my creation basically, so you are similar to me. But since I know all, there are some things that I must tell you, that I must inform you, which is about the rebellion that took place and those other evil spirits, meaning some of them during the past ages and still during times are already changing their ways. So this is a good news. But I'm speaking from an historical perspective, and some of those spirits, I mean, let's God do this work, not me. Um, so it's like a delicate balance, and probably the solution is in the understanding, which was not possible back then. It's possible now. When I say understanding, I mean between both of the parts and humanity itself, which is the third part basically. So the understanding of the things can lead to the solution for everything. And in a way, let me say, religion can help or not. Science can help or not. Honestly, I don't understand how someone can study things in such detailed way and don't and can't see the creation in it. I mean, if you can see how things were programmed back then, at least, it means you are not looking at the full picture or you are missing something because it's impossible. I'm not speaking from a religious perspective. I'm speaking from like a bigger perspective. I don't even know how to explain it. It's a perception thing. So yeah, basically if if these things, which can be religion, can be books, can be everything or nothing, doesn't lead you to God and understanding, not God and not only understanding, God and understanding. If they don't lead you to the connection between these, you're making something wrong. You're leaving something behind. You're leaving some piece behind that you need to understand the full picture, and that's where the full consciousness comes in. When the full consciousness is shared in all human life, then we will be one consciousness, and that one consciousness can change the world. Not before. It's not with leaders, it's not with singular individual actions, it's not like we are taught to think about. I'm also seeing a lot of movies and general context in content, sorry, in the web, which basically are most of the time they are picturing the one consciousness, which is a good thing, in a twisted way. Let me say that one mind is one thing, one consciousness is another thing, because the consciousness and the mind are not the same thing. The mind and the consciousness can cooperate, but that's another thing. Mind is a way to, it's a tool. Consciousness is not just a tool. Consciousness is what makes the difference between rational only and fully understanding. If you are only rational, you can't comprehend. I mean, you will have to, because you will face things, but if you keep being only rational, you will reach a point where you can't understand them. Not because you're stupid, but because they are not meant to be understood with the mind. They are meant to be understood with the consciousness, and that's the other half of the apple, metaphorically speaking. That's the other half of the apple. You can't comprehend everything and pretend to know if you just walk with one leg or just with half apple. You cannot. It doesn't work like that for both sides. It's not a matter of being fully rational or fully spiritual, because the two things are not separated. The two things are not separated. So you need both. We need both. And when I see this kind of content being pictured as bad in many contests, I'm feeling very sad. And that's where I see the evil work, actually, but because that's evil work, twisting good things into bad things, so that the people will automatically refuse them potentially when they meet them. So yeah, be aware that most of the time the content made in, sadly, in medias about this kind of thing are wrong, willingly. And even some people, like, there will always, not always, but at least until a certain point, there will be wolves hiding in the sheep, which is still metaphorically, but not. I mean, people that will use the same terms and act like, but in the reality, if you listen with the consciousness and with the spiritual part, you fully understand that they are exactly the opposite. They are like agents undercover, but from the bad side. So they are basically twisting, working to twist good things again. Or at least this is what I had to experience, even with the highest level of love and understanding and positivity. But it just doesn't work like everyone is doing things unwillingly. No, some people actually know what they're doing, and that they are doing wrong, and they do it on purpose. So there are those people in the world. We can say they act by their own, or they are acting because they are being influenced. It's not always our job to understand that. The first job is to understand that we need to discern. Discernment is really, really important in this kind of situation. In the same way, in the investigation process, in the basically in the investigation process. So we need discernment to put the places, to let the pieces go back together, because we don't have to force them together. If you are forcing them together, it means you are still looking for pieces will automatically go together. This is why it's called revelation, illumination, whatever, realization. Let's say realization, because otherwise it kind of gets a bit confusing and easy to misunderstand. So this is why it's called a realization, where you realize things. You are not forcing things to have a sense. You realize it's totally different. So we can also say that you cannot choose. This is another point. You don't have a full free will, meaning the concept, the main idea about free will is wrong, because you don't have the free will in the way most of the people interpret it. Because we are on the same boat of someone else. I mean, if the planet is a boat, we are on the same boat. If you break something, you're not just breaking that thing for you, you are breaking it for everyone. No? If you touch something, you are something that is not meant to be touched or changed without knowledge and understanding and cautiousness, you are gonna mess it up for everyone. And the same goes on a higher level and perspective for the universe. So this is the point. So in a sense, you don't have free will. You have free will until you realize you don't have free will. Because when you start realizing that you can't have a free will. You have to participate in a way or another, which depends on your skill, your attitude, and what you're able to do. But that's why it's called participating. And you cannot sing in a chorus by yourself, and you are not meant to be a lone singer. No one actually is. But that's the whole point, basically. So I hope I explained the thing. And not having a free will doesn't mean you are. It's difficult to explain, but I think I explained it. It's through the understanding that you realize, which is not bad. I mean, you know that if you don't, let's pretend you have no supermarkets, you have no money, which is actually the real reality, because if all this thing is a structure and it's not the natural thing. So if you take them away, you just face the reality. The reality in that case is that you have to provide food for yourself. So if you stop doing that, you die, basically, or you find another way. And maybe you ascend, I don't know. But the point is, if you stop participating, you die. If a bee or an ant stop doing their job, they are being replaced. And generally, if all the ants stop doing their work, there will be no ant nest. So there will be no life in that sense. And ants are part of the bigger picture, which is part of the bigger picture. So the point is, the more you open your mind and your consciousness to realize that we are beings living on a small planet in a big universe, which is something that science have been proving, which should lead to also a bigger understanding, opening mind and consciousness and understanding things. but it doesn't always do like that, because sometimes people are just looking at the flat picture, at the flat thing, and they don't realize it inside, also in the mind they don't realize it, no. So if you don't realize it, and if you do realize it, you understand that you have a role to play, which is not like being the main character of a movie or something like that. It's easier. Take care of the situations you encounter in your life when you work outside, when you are in your family, when you are outside of your family. Take care of the planet. Take care of. There are problems. Work together also to fix them. Now the biggest problem is to make other people understand that this way of living cannot be going in the same direction where it's going. In the best scenario is the scenario where people will basically blow themselves up and leave like the planet to animals and what is remaining, and maybe life will start again. That's the best perspective. There is a worst one, which I'm not going to speak about. But that's the worst one. And you may think, yeah, but we will still live. No, it will be a fake living, which is worse than dying. Then, in that case, it's better to die and go wherever the God and the universe wants you to go, or you should go. That's better. That's actually better. Um, and of course, there is a third option. Yes, there is. But the point is that most of the time, people mind are jumping from A to Z, and without considering the center, without considering the good solutions, which will require a lot of sacrifices, not physical sacrifices, meaning not killing people, but in a sense, you need to change the lifestyle of people. And the problem is why Jesus said what he said, because he knew back then, he already knew that they wouldn't follow that path. At least not all of them, not enough people. So that's why he says the things that he said, because he already knew that most of the people would just go for the not non-changing. The fact that he is being crucified instead of being saved, and the people choose to save the thief, it's also representation of a choice of the human consciousness in that moment. So, what Pilatus asked, "What will you? Who will you save? Jesus or the thief?" Jesus represents the changing. Sorry, Jesus represents the changing. The thief represents the basically the lifestyle, the attitude, and the things people are used to. Like, so that what it's now called the comfort zone, what makes you feel normal. Uh, it's something called comfort zone. Don't misunderstand me, just understand what I'm trying to say. So they choose the comfort zone, to save the comfort zone instead of the changing. But the changing was what actually was gonna save them. So some Christians say that Jesus died on the cross to clean the sins of everyone, and I will say yes and no. I mean, on an higher perspective, maybe, but if this brings you to the idea that you don't have to actually do nothing to fix the world and the problems, then you're wrong. Then no. The answer is no. I will tell you it's a lie. So the point is not in the end what is true or what is not true. The point is, if you understand the message behind the message, if you understand the point behind the message is there are problems. You need to take care of them. Otherwise, otherwise, otherwise A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but not the central letter, because the central letter is what you should choose. It's like the best solution that God is giving you to fix the situation, um, in the most harmonic way possible in the situation, for the situation. So, um, this is what humanity should choose, um, but few will. So from that moment on, we will see what happens. It's not fully full. It's not our job actually. Our job is to understand and make a choice, the good one, possible, the best one. That's our task, personally. But if you need answers and you want answers, go slow with. Just ask God. I mean, one part is developing the connection and dialogue with God, and the second part is looking for the pieces that will make you realize things. It's like some people just ask for, I don't know, a job, a problem fix, and some other are just searching for bigger answers, no, and bigger comprehension. I mean, generally speaking, God always answered. Maybe not all the answers will be given when you want them, because you're not ready. You need to receive other pieces of information before receiving that one. Otherwise, you will reject that one because you don't understand it, because you don't have the other pieces. So you say, no, it doesn't make any sense. It does make sense when you have all the pieces. But some others, it's not that they don't make sense. You just can see easily after that. You can easily see how people are just interpreting, or they don't actually still know what they're saying. So they're just basically repeating something that they just heard from someone else. Okay, which is sometimes is okay, but not always. And when they cannot answer, and it can happen, of course, it's not a judgment, but just go slow and be aware that answers are there, are easier than you imagine, and are not so complicated. That's the point. But you have the two parts of the mind, they need to communicate. They're not separated. If you separate rationality or scientific in a box, um, or you let it spread all over your mind, you're making a mistake. If you go the other way, you're making a mistake. The comprehension is made by the two. When the pieces just meet each other spontaneously, they make sense, they have sense. They don't make sense, they have sense. This is the difference. Okay, I will close this one, and I hope I said good things, didn't take too much time. I'm not so good in being synthetic, but sometimes I just feel the need of saying things directly, and I hope that everyone that needs to hear these things will hear them. Because I'm happy from a point to see all this movement of speaking again about God, which is indeed needed. But I will also want to remember people to go a little bit slower, and to keep balance, because otherwise, from one side or the other, just uh, are easy to fall. It's like walking on the edge of something, and that's more like. So yeah, go slower, and don't reject everything that is. Maybe some people are rejecting some things, information that are outside of the Bible. But sometimes, to understand the Bible better, you need pieces that are from outside of the Bible. They have sense, and this doesn't bring you away from God. It's just your personal choice to go away from God. It doesn't take you away from God. It just makes more sense and understanding. So it is possible to comprehend, at least what you need to comprehend, what we need to comprehend. It is possible. It doesn't mean that everything you will see will be shiny and beautiful. This is also something that it's important to realize, because yeah, not everything will be happy and beautiful, and this is something you have to be aware of it. Be aware of. That's it. Be aware. It's not everything your job, but you can't even take yourself away